Hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for clicking on this new book review video number 3. As you can see, the lighting isn't very good. Has to do with the season, of course. It's we are deep into fall. So, yeah, I have to do with this lighting, fortunately. But bad lighting doesn't matter if my story is actually good. So, the book I'm going to discuss today is Why We Sleep from Matthew Walker. This book came out in 2017. It's his first book, I believe. I don't think he has written anything else as of lately. Matthew Walker, he's a British man. I have listened to some podcasts of him and his TED Talk. And yes, he's definitely British. So he actually studied in Liverpool, got his PhD in Newcastle, something like that. And you guessed it, it's neuroscience or neurophysiology. Whoa, neurophysiology. Neurophysiology. After getting his PhD in the early 2000s, he went to the US of A and worked at Harvard University and moved to California later to work at Berkeley. And in that time, he has done a lot of research trying to fill the knowledge gaps. So, yeah, pretty much from all I have seen of this guy is like he's very passionate about his about in his field, about sleep, about neuroscience, and yeah, from the things that I've actually seen him on, like podcasts and his TED talk. Yeah, he's a very passionate guy. I really believe that that he wants to make the world a better place and help as many people as he can with his knowledge about sleep. So even even if that means that his sources are anecdotal or from epidemiological data, which you can make your own opinion about the validity of those sources. So, what is the book actually about? Well, it's about why we sleep. It's how we sleep, why we sleep, everything that comes with sleep, and everything that comes with if you are deprived of sleep, if you actually do not sleep, which is very self-destructive. Because I have read the book, so I know how bad it could be. But yeah, this book is also like the style. It really is as if not as if you're talking with him, but it's like he is talking to you. Like he's telling his story from what he knows. And the cool thing about his writing is that I believe that his personality actually uh, pops out of it. Like I could safely say that it really looks like he wrote the book, which is also always great if an author can put his personality aura in his writing. It's always nice. So, what type of arrangement in the book did he choose? Well, split up the book into four parts, all with 3 to 5 chapters, and all the chapters make it actually really easy to track back certain information. I believe he split up the information pretty well actually. And with that being said, I think the book is great to have it physically so you can like go back to certain parts, which unfortunately I cannot do because I always use this Kobo e-reader. Kobo, if you want to sponsor me, hit me up, of course. I use your Eclipse or something, I believe. It's the big one where you can make notes and all. So, Kobo, if you're listening, I'm using your product. I mean, it's right here, so works great. Your products they do great. So let's talk about what actually is in these chapters. Well, let's start with chapter 1. Well, chapter 1 is an introduction to most of the themes. Here he really makes a foundation of the topic, talks about certain terms. So if you have no real knowledge about biology, neuroscience, chemistry, all that, all good. You can still read this book and understand it because he explains all the terms, like actually a couple of times, like multiple times, which also helps with refreshing if you are big pauses between your reading sessions. And because he repeats them, you memorize them also better. So that's great. The things, the things that he explains are basic terms such as circadian rhythm, sleep chronotypes, melatonin, sleep pressure, and he briefly talks about the effects of caffeine on sleep. Well, after reading the first part, the second part has 3 chapters, is mostly about the benefits of sleep and the effects if you are literally deprived of sleep. And I believe this is the most confrontational part, because especially about the sleep deprivation and the effects, like the most horrible effects of not sleeping is basically that you become a vegetable or you just straight up die at a certain point. And I think that that makes it really scary and could even potentially give you some sleeping anxiety. So please be aware. Then you know all the ins and outs of the effects of sleep in part 2. Then comes part 3, and part 3 is mostly dedicated about dreaming and your non-deep REM sleep, which is basically your dreaming state. In my opinion, this chapter or part has the most interesting information. It's talking a lot about lucid dreaming, sleep paralysis, sleepwalking, and has a lot of science, a lot of scientific sources, some anecdotal, some he did actually himself. There are some examples that he gives that facilities like his team did themselves, which is pretty cool. A lot of sources are actually really old, and that has to do with ethics, because back in the day they could research a lot more because animal cruelty and that type of stuff wasn't really a thing, so they could deprive like rats of sleep until the point of death, for example, and that wasn't a big issue. We know now that that might not be the nicest thing to do to any kind of creature on this earth. Um, so the research has become more difficult, I think, but I think as well that we need to appreciate the research that has been done in the past, because otherwise we couldn't have this maybe outdated but certainly a starting point of this science. Well, after rambling about part 3, then we are coming to part 4, and part 4 is actually the whole build up of the whole book is for his final message, right? All the information he has given us is clearly leading up to the message that he wants to tell. He is very open about his criticism on our systems and working ethics in our Western society. And what I think is actually good, maybe not great, but it's good, is that he's pointing out problems in our system and society, but he's actually giving very ambitious and kind of futuristic ideas, which I think is great that he tries to think of solutions. Even though, in my opinion, Some are pretty dystopian, but that's my opinion. You have to, of course, think for yourself. Some are a bit like sketchy with all kind of gadgets and gathering like the information of your whole body, which is connected to your whole house climate system and all. You have to read it for yourself, but I'm just pointing it out here. And after the fourth part, you think you are done, but actually there's also a little conclusion. In this conclusion, basically is one final message, maybe a wake up call, even, and just pointing out that we are having a big global sleep deprivation pandemic problem. And yeah, that's basically what it is. And this is a new part, it's controversies and disclaimers. So there are a lot of opinions about this book because it's actually quite popular. The man is quite popular, which makes his book also popular. There were certain details of information in the book that some people were actually really happy about. Made them more aware about their sleeping patterns. I could say that I myself am one of those people, but there are others which really criticize the lack of in-depth analysis on things like sleep apnea and other. I don't know if can I say this? Can I call them sleeping disabilities? You get what I mean. People really think he needs to dive more in those clinical health issues. Um, but if you actually read the book yourself, he's clearly talking about and for healthy individuals because the science around all those problems, all those health problems, clinical problems, problems people are literally born with, it's there really is a lack of information and there are still a lot of people trying to cure, to find solutions, psycholo- psychological issues, physiological issues. I'm not the one who can talk about that like in a deep level because I'm no neuroscience. I am a biologist, literally an ecologist. Big systems with big creatures, not things in here on a cellular level. So, with that being said, there's also more criticism about specific claims that he made in the book. I will put a link to the article which basically debunks some claims he makes in the book. So yeah, you can check it out in the link, see for yourself, make your own opinion, because there's also this opinion going around that because a lot of sources he uses, a lot of information he uses, were from controlled laboratory studies, and some have the opinion that because they were controlled laboratory studies, they are not applicable in the real life world because there are too many variables for you to even bother, which I just simply do not agree with. I think just being aware of the small things that influences your whole thing, I think is actually a good thing. Makes you more aware. But anyway, you can check the link in the description for you to see for yourself. And now, my final thoughts and recommendations. So, for me, this book really achieved its goals. It made me more aware of my sleeping habits, prevent those awful Monday mornings. Plus, personally, it made it also easier to recognize the effects it had on my mood and on my productivity for the day. So I could see with what type of pedals I was rowing, you know, and made it actually easier to use those pedals. So, with that being said, I think that I would highly recommend this book, especially if you want to be more aware and have never actually heard about anything that could influence your sleep and the general effects of it. I think it really is a good introduction into this corner of science, and where you don't have to take everything literally, just needs to wake you up just a little. And as always, you should only use it as a guide and take the things that you want to apply in your personal life, or what you do not want to apply, of course. So always think for yourself, gather as much information as possible, and make your own opinion. That was it for today, for this book review. I thank you so much for watching this video. Please do a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when I finally make another video. Now that these videos take maybe 3-4 months to make, if you just want to be notified when I finally made another video, hit that bell. And if you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments or just share your thoughts. I read everything. So this is the end. Remember, you are what you read. Bye bye.